Hi, my name is Megan Copel. Today we're going to go through a group of stretches that you should do daily. I'm going to let you know which stretches that could be done in the morning and at night. Keep in mind, if you have high spasticity or tone, you might want to do all your stretches at night. If you don't really have this symptom, you can do these stretches in the morning. I pretty much leave it up to you depending on your symptoms. Okay, the first stretch we're going to do today is a bit of an active stretch. So how we're going to start is I have Renee sitting up nice and tall. I have her on a block about this thickness. The goal is to have her at a really nice 90-degree angle here. If you find that you're slouching, do me a favor and slouch, I would put you on a higher block. Maybe throw a blanket or a pillow underneath there because the goal is to be sitting up as tall as possible. The legs are going to be straight. The feet are going to be flexed. If you experience foot drop, this is a very important stretch because we don't want to lose that mobility of the ankle. So I'm going to ask Renee just to pull back on that TheraBand as much as she can until she feels a stretch. Holding it there and asking her here to pull her elbows back as far as she can. So we're also getting an upper body workout here too. Good. Now from here, straighten those arms, Renee. Trying to keep the feet flexed and then bring those arms back. What you'll notice is when your arms straighten, the TheraBand's going to go looser on the feet. So I want you to keep those feet pulling back, an active work on the ankle. Keep going. And I would suggest 10 reps of this one. And we'll say this is her 10th, so she'll pull back and hold. Good. Now, holding here, I want her to push her feet into the TheraBand like she's going to point her toes just a little bit and come right back home. Push the feet just a little bit and right back home. 3 more like that. And I would say just do about 5 of those. If plantar flexion or pointing the toes sets off spasticity in your calf, you can avoid this portion. Pull the toes all the way back. Hold that for a nice stretch. Good. Keep those shoulders squeezed together. And I'm going to ask her to hold this stretch for 2 minutes. All right? We're not going to hold 2 minutes right now, but you're going to hold 2 minutes. You're going to work up to holding it for 5 minutes. This part of the stretch, if, again, you're high spasticity and tone, this part of the stretch is best to do at night. And you can relax, Renee. Thank you. The next active stretch we're going to do today is for the psoas. You can be pretty safe to do this in the morning. Again, if you feel super weak after stretching out that psoas, you might want to wait to do it at night. So leave it up to you or how you feel. So right now, I've got Renee on what we call foam roller. If you have one of these at home, use it. If not, you can prop your butt up with pillows, towels, a blanket, but you want to be, about 6 to 8 inches off the ground, okay? From here, I'm just going to ask Renee to take a big exhale and pull those abs in, sinking her rib cage down to the mat. You'll notice I have her arms straight here for support. If you need to, you can bend your arms slightly to hold on to the foam roller, okay? But try to keep them straight. So what I'm going to do here is layer the exercise. As I add a new layer, if that layer is too challenging, just go back to the previous layer. So we'll start with layer 1. She's just going to take a nice big exhale and slide that leg straight along the mat. Go with this leg so they can say, good. And then slide it back in. Good. And again. Exhale, sliding that leg straight and back in. So what we want to see is that psoas really opening here. What I don't want to happen is as she slides her leg straight that her ribs pop up. We want to keep that rib cage in and slide that knee back in. Good. So that'll be layer 1. Layer 2 will be the same exercise but with the legs up at tabletop. So bring both legs up to tabletop for me. Again, balancing, what this does is allows you to use your abs a little bit more. So from here, I'm going to ask Renee to exhale, tap her left toe down, and this will be our start point of the exercise. Right leg isn't going to move. She's going to exhale, slide the left leg straight. So same thing she did before, only difference is this leg's up at tabletop and back in. And just do that a few times. Good. And on the last one, just hold it there for me, Renee. I'm going to show the last layer with her leg up in tabletop. You can also do this with this right leg down on the mat, okay? We'll do it up here so you can see. I'm going to ask Renee to externally rotate her leg, which means rotating the inner thigh up to the ceiling. She's going to hold it there. I'm going to ask her to lift her leg in external rotation. I'm going to help her with the first one. Internally rotate the leg at the top, so rotating your inner thigh down towards the mat and lowering the leg. I call this the Psoas rainbow. Then from here, she's going to stay internally rotated, lift, externally rotate to lower. Okay, so let's see a few of those. Staying externally rotated, she'll lift with that rotation, rotate the leg in, and then lower the leg down. So this is a bit of an active psoas massage. I can't promise that it's a nice massage. Lift with internal rotation. Lift with internal rotation, you got it. And then externally rotate to lower. Good. And let's do one more like that. Lift in external rotation. So she lifted parallel, so we'll go back down. Externally rotate that leg. There you go. Lift in external rotation. Now I'm going to make her hold this here. She's probably not going to be happy. But I want her to think that she's continually rotating that leg as she lifts. Then she's going to rotate it at the top, internally the other way, and then keep that internal rotation as she lowers down slowly. That's the hardest part. Then she'll bring that leg back to parallel and carefully slide the leg back in. Go ahead and lower your right leg for me there. Excellent. You'll do all those exercises again on the other side. I suggest doing about 5 reps of each on either side. Our next stretch is for the inner thighs, and we're going to incorporate spinal mobility. So a lot of times with MS, we see a lot of extensor tone. Back extensors, you'll feel it in the calves, hamstrings, and also the inner thighs, your adductors. So we want to make sure we stretch the adductors as well. So I'm going to have Renee sit up nice and tall. Notice I have her on that block again, just to make sure she's sitting upright and doesn't have a slouch in her pelvis. Ideally, I would like you to open your legs as wide as you can. We're going to keep them here today so Renee doesn't fall off the table. Okay? I'm going to have her flex her feet as much as she can. So we're always looking for dorsiflexion. But I'm going to also ask her not to go so much with the toes. Exactly. Think of it all coming from the ankles. So this is hard work for a lot of us with foot drop. So try to do your best to keep that foot upright. So our 2 options for this portion of the exercise are to use a ball like this if you have one at home. If you don't, you can just do it with your hands on the mat. So I'm going to show it with the hands on the ball first, and then we'll do it with the hands on the floor. So I'm going to have Renee cross one hand over the other. Now the key here, we're looking for spinal mobility. So I don't want to see shoulders. So roll your shoulders forward so everyone can see what that looks like. Yup. And then come back up. So we're going to keep those shoulders in the joint. We're stretching out our adductors. Our legs are as wide as they can go. Our feet are flexed. She's going to tuck her chin towards her chest, and she's going to exhale, roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, letting that ball roll away from her, trying to keep her shoulders in. Then from here, I'm going to pull her ponytail. She's going to lift from her cervical spine to arch up, coming all the way back in, vertebrae by vertebrae. And we'll do that again. We'll roll down, keeping that belly. Look how she's scooping that belly. Beautiful. Coming all the way up, lifting the head. Think you're rolling a marble up along the floor. There you go. And then arching all the way back up. So I would suggest 3 to 5 like that, and then we're going to go the other way. So you're going to arch down. So keep your chest lifted as you arch down. Go as far as you can. Keep the shoulders in the joint. Beautiful. Now let the head drop. Scoop from your low belly to roll back up. Very nice. And then come back up. One more like that for me. Chest is reaching. Good. Nice, Renee. And then exhale, scoop the belly, and then roll all the way back up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Awesome. So I would suggest 3 to 5, both directions. And if you don't have one of these, don't worry. Just put your hands on the floor and just do one each direction for me, Renee, so they can see. So she'll roll down, slide her hands, lift the head, and then articulate up. Some people prefer doing it this way, so it's really up to you. And then go the opposite way. Chest lifted, and then drop it, and then roll all the way up. Excellent. And just a reminder, when you're doing this, I want those legs as wide as they can go because we want to be stretching the inner thighs at the same time. Thank you. Last active stretch is one of my favorites. It incorporates a lot of different things. So we're going to start in our mermaid position. She's got one leg back and one leg hooked in front, just like this, if you can't see. So what Renee's going to do is put her left hand right to the side. That's going to be the same arm as the same leg that's in front. She's then going to take her right arm, twist it all the way around, turn her chest, and reach both arms as far as she can, and then come all the way back to start. Again, we're gonna layer this exercise. Again, for me, Renee, she's gonna try to keep this hip down as much as possible and come all the way back. Moving to the second layer, she's gonna do that same thing, but bring her right hand next to her left leg and come up onto all fours. Good, a little tricky. Hang in there with us, and then come back where she came from. Notice how she's lifting that back leg like a dog at a fire hydrant. Good, come all the way up and around. Try not to kick me, thank you. And then back where you came from. This is layer 2. Remember, if this is too much, stick to layer 1. Last layer, she's gonna come over, put the leg down, and give me hip extension on the opposite leg. Now with the hip extension, we'll be at 90 degrees, foot is flexed, heel reaching up to the ceiling, spine and pelvis doesn't move. Put that knee back down and go back where she came from. So Renee's gonna keep doing this so you can see, and I'm gonna talk through it a little bit more. So again, sweeping that leg around, we're gonna give hip extension at the end, making sure our spine is staying neutral, kicking that leg back up and around, finding ourselves back in our mermaid stretch. Let's see one more, Renee. Reaching up and over. And if this hip extension is too much, just omit it until you're ready, and then come all the way back to start. Excellent. Here's a side look of the hip extension. So Renee, if you could just lift the leg for me. What I don't want to see is hip extension from the lower back. That's not hip extension. So do that for me where you really arch your back. Yeah, we see movement in the pelvis. So I'm going to ask her to keep her pelvis. Think right where her butt meets her leg. That's where she's squeezing. So give me a little hip extension. There you go, and back down. And do that one more time for me. And really lifting and back down. Making sure you keep those abs in when you do that. Give me one more. And back down. Also, Renee, would you mind showing them mermaid from the front? So just sitting facing the camera. So if you notice her mermaid, her right leg is in front, her left leg is behind. What you want to think about doing is both of your sits bones right here are pressing down into the mat. This left side is going to be the culprit that wants to come up. When you go to do the twist, twist over to your right for me, Renee. We want to see how that hip just wants to lift. We're going to keep it right back down. Do that again. Good. And here's where our active stretch is. Beautiful. And you can come on back up. Thank you. The next quick stretch I'd like you to do is our figure 4 stretch. Real basic. Just cross the ankle over the knee, and you're going to bring that knee up. Perfect. Give me your hands through this little hole here and grab a hold of that leg. So when you're doing the figure 4, you don't want your butt to lift, but we want to pull this knee in and push this knee away. So this left leg is pulling in, this right leg is reaching away. This is going to help open up those hips. I suggest holding this for maybe 2 to 3 minutes, and this is one you can do at night. You can come on out of here. And the last stretch we're going to do, if you could flip over for me, Renee, is child's pose on the ball. Now, go into regular child's pose for me, Renee. I don't like this position for a few reasons. I don't like how the feet are. So what that's going to do is that can cause some spasticity in your calves. And it's also, we're working so hard to get some dorsiflexion. It's good to stretch the feet like this, so it's not a bad thing to do. But I prefer you coming up and going over the ball and just drape your body over the ball. Good. And just let those feet relax. So now we're getting a stretch on the front of the foot, but not too much pressure. And then the back muscles can really relax. So what I'm going to ask Renee to do is just keep exhaling in this position and just focusing on her back, completely relaxing over the ball. As I mentioned previously, it's common to get tone and spasticity in your back extensors, so this is a great stretch to do to just alleviate some pressure here and let your back extensors relax. You might feel them fighting against you, but when you're in this position, just keep breathing and just really visualizing the muscles completely relaxing, okay? And also, we're gonna get that stretch in the feet here, but it's a little less impact of then sitting on your butt. However, if child's pose sitting on your heels feels great, I highly recommend doing it. Thanks.